I'm really bad at like faking like sober when I'm high. I can't do it. And I remember I was standing in the back, and after I ordered my hot chocolate from the lady, I think I was standing near Melina. I was like, oh my God, like everybody in this restaurant is so fucking beautiful. Holy shit. I had a really traumatic psychedelic experience. Do you sometimes feel like you're semi-tripping, not intense usually, or in the tripping headspace when you're tired or anxious? Sometimes, nomophobes. Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know if this is the same type of experience, but there are some times where I might just be looking off into space, or I'm talking to somebody, and maybe I feel like a little dizzy or something weird or whatever, and I just lose focus for a second, and then I wonder, like, am I about to start tripping? I get that, like, very briefly. I get that feeling. It's very fucking weird. But like, I don't think it scares me so much because it's happened so many times. Like, no, I'm just like a little dizzy or something. Because like, there have been times where I've like thought about it a lot. I was like, all right, fucking, let's see if we can do a fucking trip. But like, it never actually happens. So like, I'm not usually scared of it. But yeah, I definitely do get that feeling sometimes. It's very weird. Wait, I'm already level 10 mining. Why am I mining? That's panic disorder. Okay. There have been a couple times where I used to think I could get panic. This is after my panic attacks were done though. I still get scared of getting those sometimes where I start thinking, it's like, oh fuck, but it doesn't actually happen. It's so weird how a lot of that stuff just like came and went like as a phase. Oh my God, I'm so happy. You just got the cloth artisan good? Yeah, but we've already turned those in. When you had panic attacks, did you experience altered time perception? Not like as significantly as I do on mushrooms. But like, I mean, like technically all of our time perception is like really altered. Like if you're like having sex or something, like it's gonna go really fast. If you're like waiting in class for the bell to end, like in high school, at least for me, that's like the longest fucking minutes of your life. Holy shit. So I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. It just depends, I guess. Like your time perception is always like imperfect. Oh God, dude, I remember those agonizing moments where it's like, okay, the bell rings at like 1:17 and it's like 1:05 and you're like, okay, I'm not gonna look up at the clock until it's 1:15 at least. And you wait and you're like, oh, and then you look up and it's like 1:09 and you're like, oh fuck, how is it possible? I had a long episode of dissociation when I had a massive panic attack episode of my anxiety disorder in my teens, and I tried to explain to people what I was experiencing and I just couldn't. Oh yeah. Dissociation or derealization. The problem when I had panic attacks was that like the panic attack itself like sucks shit, I guess, whatever. Like this just, it feels bad and it's weird. Oh sorry. Yeah, but the after any time I would get a panic attack, I would have like extreme derealization or disassociation afterwards. I've seen definitions for both of these like used interchangeably, so I don't know if there's actually a difference between the two, but it was by far the worst experience I had, like following a panic. Like the panic attacks were whatever. I mean, they didn't feel good, obviously, but the disassociation afterwards was fucking what a miserable, horrible experience. What is disassociation? I'll try to explain this, but I haven't actually felt this in a long time. But like the feeling that I would get would be like after I would have a panic attack. I remember the first time after I had my first big panic attack was I was sitting on my couch and it felt like I was just completely removed. Like my entire existence like couldn't have possibly been like a real thing, I guess. Like it didn't really make sense that the amount of work that I'd done in my life equated to like owning a house. I wasn't really sure if anything outside of like the room that I was in was real. I remember having to like talk to people or walk around outside to get like a feeling that like anything about me was actually real anymore. I don't know if this is like a normal experience or if this is more related to like my mushroom thing, but I guess it's just like this feeling that like nothing is like, everything feels very not right and not real to me, I guess, when I have those feelings. And I wish that like, it's hard to explain this because when you think about things being not real, you have to think about it. It's a very cognitive process for you. You're like, oh yeah, like, so I'm thinking like, well, what if this was fake? But like, this is something that's like nestled deeper in your mind. It's this very unsettling. It's not like you think like, wow, you know, like this is kind of fake. It's more that you just kind of know it. You know that like nothing is really right now. It's a very uncanny feeling and you can't really think out of it. It's just like, you just know that like, nothing around you is like as it should be, and maybe this is all like a fantasy or delusion or whatever. Like, ugh, that, I don't know. That's how I would explain it. It's very fucking horrible.
You would experience this after your panic attacks?
Yes, every time after a panic attack. I'd have it it would be roughly for the rest of the day until I would go to sleep. It was horrible.
Wow, that's so interesting. I experience that while I'm having panic attacks and a little bit afterwards, but not like the onset isn't like afterwards. That's really interesting.
Sometimes I went in a headspace where it felt like my mind was floating, like I was my mind rather than myself. It was really weird. I thought and acted differently. Can you relate? It lasted weeks for me. I could never deal with that for weeks. Every time I would wake up, I would be reset. Thank God. The two worst little lapses that I had, I was talking about this a million times. So really quickly, the two worst lapses that I had was I had a small period of what felt like depression. So like I experienced something called, I think, anhedonia or something, but basically like it's an absence of desire, which was probably the worst thing I've ever felt in my entire life. You basically you just have like the motivation to do nothing, and not like in a way, I don't know how to explain this, but like every time you think about like what can I do to like make myself happy, like that's an easy question to ask if you have a desire to be happy. So like when you ask a normal person like, oh, you're sad, well, why don't you do something to be happy? Like a normal person that's sad is going to be like, yeah, you're right, I need to do something, like get out of this. But like in this kind of state, it's more just like, why would I even bother? Like I already know that like no matter what I do, nothing is going to change my fundamental disposition. Like I just feel empty and hollow and like nothing. And it's like this, it's so horribly isolating. It's like like the way that it felt was that like I was at like the bottom of a hole, like that I can't climb out, and I can kind of see like everybody like walking by like above me, but like nobody can hear me or see me, and it's just you're completely cut off from all of existence. And that lasted for like 2 days for me. I mean, you shouldn't obviously, but I think I would kill myself if I had to live like that. I couldn't do it. It was absolutely fucking agonizing. Holy shit. But it just went away after like 2 days. And then I had like 2 or 3 days of like severe anxiety. Like where I just felt like worthless as a human being, and I felt like super disassociated. I think I posted these texts in my chat. It was really weird reading back then, but like I was sending texts to Rachel saying like, oh, like you should keep Nathan, like don't ever let him around me again. Like I think I'm a horrible human being, like I'm bad for everybody. Like it was like really fucking horrible and weird. And that went away after 2 days. But both of those things were very short term. They only lasted a couple days each for me, and I've never dealt with them again. I don't know why, if they were related to the mushrooms or not, but holy fuck. You think it was a severe lack of endorphins, drug hangover? Well, the thing is that I didn't start getting panic attacks or any of these weird mental things until it was like 2 months or 3 months after my mushrooms. It was really weird. How would you describe the feeling of a panic attack itself? Okay, I feel like we're bringing up all the meme topics again. Okay. The way that I start this is because like I don't know if some people experience different panic attacks differently or how this works is, but like so the feeling that you get of adrenaline, where like okay, let's start at the beginning. Okay, my panic attacks came out of nowhere. Nothing like caused them or spurred them on. I think it was just like all of a sudden like my heart rate would just like jump up, and then my breathing would jump up, and then I would just feel fucking horrible. A lot of people describe it as like a feeling of a rush of adrenaline out of nowhere, where it's like a very exciting thing, like all of a sudden. For me, I don't think I ever got that like adrenaline rush, where it would feel like, oh wow, like oh, like I'm super adrenalined up. I don't know if maybe because of the associations I have, maybe because of the way that I drive, but for me, like adrenaline is like very exciting for me. I like that feeling. When I get panic attacks, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just this 100% absolute knowledge that your death is impending, and it's a dreadful, horrible feeling that has nothing to do with adrenaline for me. For me personally, there was no way related to like a fight or flight thing. It was just like a, oh fuck, like I'm literally like seconds from death, and I just know I'm about to die 100%. I don't know why.
Is it always like that for you?
When I had panic attacks, yeah, every time, yeah, it's horrible.
I've had panic attacks before, but mine definitely incorporated like adrenaline, but also like the like awareness or certainty of death, like feeling like you're literally about to die.
Yeah, and that's such a
really
weird
scary
feeling, because outside of panic attacks, I've never felt that type of dread before. It's so weird. I like in places where I've been like close to like maybe like a car hitting me or something, it's like it's very exciting, and I could see like if I died, like if you were to ask me in the afterlife like how did you feel, I'd be like, oh, I don't know, dude, like fuck, like it was just like exciting, like I didn't know what the fuck was about to happen. But like with the panic attacks, it's like you're like strapped down to a chair and a guy's got a knife and he's just like slowly walking towards you, like and inevitably about to cut your throat, and there's just nothing you can do about it. You're just like, yeah, I don't know, it's like a horrible feeling.
It's like overwhelming doom. It's weird because like you can contemplate death and like acknowledge that it's gonna happen, but like when you're in the panic attack mode, it's like you feel it. It's really scary.
Yeah, I would say that the most that I learned from my, I don't know what I'd call it, like bouts with mental illness, but my little like dipping my toe into those ponds was that I have a lot less control over my mind than I thought I did. That's one of the reasons why I've backed off a lot, telling people like, oh, just think about this or this or this or that, because I don't know how much of my like subconscious or my emotional drive I just take for granted. Like I'm pointed in a very positive direction almost no matter what the fuck I do. Like you can kill like my fucking family and my kid, obviously it'd be fucking horrible, and like destroy my computer and do everything, but like for the most part, like my mind is very geared towards like, hey, like do things to make you happy and do things like no matter what, even if I'm like currently sad or things are like really bad.
2 years
like,
in the subber clubber and Pepe has always won.
Nice. Like I'm just always geared in that direction without trying it. The thing is that like most people don't think about wanting to be happy. Most people already want to be happy. Like being sad is a good thing because it means you want to be happy. But like in a state of anhedonia, I wouldn't describe that feeling as sadness, more so a feeling of emptiness. And those two things for me were just totally, completely separate. And I'd never until that point experienced like emptiness before. Like I'd been
apathy?
Like what? Yeah, apathy towards like
everything?
Towards everything. Yeah. Like I know what it's like to feel sad, but like if you feel sad, it's because you want to feel happy. You want to do something different to feel happy. But like feeling nothing and knowing that like no matter what you do, it's not going to change that feeling of nothingness is like just a fucking horrible experience. Oh my god, like unbelievably horrible. But I always thought, yeah, I guess I always thought that I was in control of that. Like, well, I mean, obviously I'm a happy person because I mean, like, look at how like I am, and I do so many things for myself, like mentally. But not really. I just have like a really strong underlying drive to like maintain my level of happiness. But I don't control that. And if some mental illness were to like sweep by and like take that from me, like, fuck me. I don't know what the fuck I would do. It would require a lot of work to get that. I don't even know how you would even begin to address a thing like that.
Yeah, like neurochemistry and stuff, it affects us so much. And yeah, people think that they can just think themselves out of those places, but
yeah, I used to think that, yeah. But the problem is like when you're in those states, like the problem is that your thought process is poisoned. Like every single thought you have is poisoned before it even comes to the front of your mind. Like you're already fucked. Like you're already fucked out the gate. Yeah. How did you get out of that feeling of extreme apathy? It just went away from me. I just had each of these feelings for like 2 days and then they were gone. It's an incredible blessing for me. I don't know why. I feel like it gave me a lot of insight into certain types of mental disease. It made me take a lot of stuff that I have right now not for granted. And I thankfully I didn't have to do any work to escape any of it. I'm just really lucky. You said you feel you're emotionally grounded. Do your panic attacks influence your view of this opinion? Why or why not? I mean, I would like to think they were just drug related. I don't know, but... Why didn't you talk with this to Harvard Andy? I feel like it would be more interesting. Maybe. I really respect his opinion. I think it's cool. But it's like, it sounds like really pretentious. But like, it's really hard to talk about that level of drug experience with somebody that hasn't had that level of drug experience. Like, it's just like, it's an unimaginable place to be in. Like, if you haven't been there, it's really, really hard to like relate that to somebody else.
It really is like that. It's like one of those experiences that if you haven't experienced it, you just like, it won't make sense to you.
Yeah.
Or like at least it might make sense to you logically, but like you won't have a felt sense of it or like a true sense of it.
For the mental illness stuff, I would 100% agree. I think that before I experienced that anhedonia, I think I could explain depression really well based on how I'd read other people say it. I think I did a really good job at advocating for it and explaining it. But deep, like inside me, I would never take like an SSRI. Like I would always feel like I'm like changing myself or doing something that like, I just would never take a drug to like fix something like that. Like I know I would find a way to like deal with it and figure it out and fix it without needing a drug. But after experiencing those states, I would have popped any fucking pill imaginable to get me out of it. And I still feel that way. If I ever went back to that, dude, I would fucking chug Prozac or whatever the fuck I would need to get out of that state of mind without a second thought, without even remotely considering the implication. Like, holy shit, it's like so fucking bad. And you're so helpless. You're so absolutely fucking helpless to deal with it, like in that state of mind. Like, oh my God. How did you feel about its comparison of meditation and psychedelics? I've heard that if you get like really good at fucking meditating, that you can like hit like you can like trip almost like in your head. I don't know if that's true or not. It's hard for me to know if that's true or not. It's possible. I don't know.
Like trip in what sense?
Like having a psychedelic experience through meditation, that if you spend like years, like decades meditating, that you're able to like invoke those states through meditation.
Yeah, I've heard that too. You can do it through like breath trick.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Okay, holy shit, I'm not fishing anymore. That was fucking garbage money.
Oh, I've always wanted to ask this question, but I always forget until now. The Tim Graham trip. Do you feel like it killed your ego or whatever, and like what effects did it have on your personality after?
So when people talk about ego death, they're not really talking. Oh man, this is so hard to explain. I wish everybody could just do this. And
I've done mushrooms, so you can try to explain it in terms of someone.
How many? What's like the highest dose you've done? I'm just curious, just to get
5 grams.
Okay, that's a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fucked me up.
Okay, so like the way that when people talk about ego death, sometimes people think that it's like your ego, like having a big ego, like dies or whatever. But my understanding of ego death, and then I'm pretty sure having experienced it, is like if you do enough of like a drug like that, like basically you so everything man, how would I explain this? Like for a computer analogy, like everything that you do in your life, you kind of do through like an operating system. Like you're on Windows, and taking that much of like those types of substances is like getting rid of your operating system and then looking at what things are like without that perspective. I think ego death is like the dissolution of the view you have of like yourself, but not like how you view yourself, like, oh, am I smart or kind of whatever, but like literally the way that you engage with your senses and the perception you have of like the thing you are, and like destroying that perspective and then stepping back and seeing what it's like independent of that is an unimaginable experience. I wish I had like a better way of explaining it, but I don't, guys. It's like the way that I would explain this is like if you had a cell phone, your whole life is like holding the cell phone right up to your face and like looking through that screen. And then like ego death is like taking it back like 2 inches and then realizing that you've been looking through a screen the whole fucking time. And then in that moment, not knowing if anything you ever saw was ever real, or if like what you're in now is like a better view of reality. Like it's an unbelievable experience. Yeah.
Do you feel like it had long-lasting effects on like your life and your personality?
No, I don't think so. I think that more or less personality-wise, I'm still the same. For several months afterwards, I had a really hard time dealing with like feelings of schizophrenia or fear of going insane. I really felt like, especially during the trip, that I had like lost my mind. It was the first time I'd ever have like senses lie to me. I've never heard voices before or seen things that weren't real. I've never had a feeling that the reality isn't real. I've never had a feeling that I couldn't trust like my eyes and ears to convey accurate information to me. I'd never felt like I was so, I guess like the weird thing is that like there's a state when you do psychedelics where you're high, and then you get high and you're goofy and you have a body high and everything feels good and weird. But like when you do enough, you break through to like another level where you actually feel sober again, but you feel like you've stepped into like another dimension. Like you don't just feel like high and goofy, you actually feel like, oh, okay, hold on. Like I am somewhere new. And you have like a sense of sobriety, like you're sober, but you're very clearly in another place. You're not like in the normal reality that you're used to. You're like in another kind of dimension. And it's it's an impossible to explain feeling, I guess.
Did you have any negative, scary effects from that big of a dose?
I mean, the trip itself was absolutely horrifying. It felt like multiple lifetimes were passing in front of me. It's like impossible to explain, but like I keep saying that. The craziest part to me was like, I'm so glad I made Regful record it because I wanted to look back on it.
I know, it's so good.
Yeah.
You look like a guy. You know those images of like World War I vets, like on the battlefield.
Yeah.
You had like a 1,000-yard stare. It
Yeah.
was fucking surreal.
So like there were parts of my trip where like Regful shakes me and he's like, Steven, where are you? And the thing with mushrooms is it very much hits you in waves. Like it comes big and then it comes back and it goes big and then it comes back, whatever. And there were parts where Regful is shaking me and he's like, what's up? And I'm like, whoa, am I back? And he's like, yeah. And then I'm like, oh, and I like go back into being high and then I come back or whatever. When this was happening to me on the couch, I had this impression that like he was asking me like, yo, where are you? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, am I high? And then I would drift off into like what felt like another month or two of time where I'm just like very fucking high and like in this whole other fucking plane of existence. And then I would come back after like a month and he would be in front of me on the couch asking me if I was in. I was like, oh shit, like I made it back. Like, and then I would lose it again because it's very hard to hold on to like any like sober, like reality related thoughts. But when I watched this in the video, it was literally like 2 seconds of time. Like I'd be like, am I here? whoa, I'm back. Am I here? And I would like come back in like 2 seconds. Like, what the fuck? That shit was insane to me.
So basically, my chat was encouraging me. They said that maybe you would understand. So I have gotten so high off of weed that I've literally had full-blown hallucinations. And it's really weird because other people don't really experience that. But I have experienced ego death while just really, really high.
Damn. Have you are you 100? First of all, was this edibles?
It wasn't edibles. To be fair, I'm also Buddhist and I meditate a lot. So it's possible that because of that, because you can have ego death when you meditate. And
Theoretically, yeah.
I've already experienced through meditation before that something that I thought was similar to ego death, but maybe being high just like really tipped me over the edge or something. I don't know.
What made you want to do this? Like, some people, it's like I get why they're into drugs, but if I were to just, from what I know from you, I would be like, oh, this guy is the guy who laughs at people who do hallucinogenics and thinks it's all a fucking sham. So why the fuck would you want to take a hero?
Because of that, I thought it was like a meme, basically.
So you did it just to see if it was a meme?
Well, so basically what I thought was like,
fuck?
because I tried smoking before, and like weed for me before mushrooms was like, it felt like being drunk basically. Like I would get high, it was like funny, I would like laugh, it was like, kind of slow, it was like a jokey or whatever. That was what weed was like before I did mushrooms. And people were like, oh, try mushrooms, that's way more intense. Destiny's like, okay, I'm sure, dude. So I was with a few friends, and I was like, okay, fuck it. Like, what's just like a normal, I want a normal full fucking dose of mushrooms. And so I took the 3.5 grams, and then like 30 minutes in, I was like, fuck this shit. I don't want to waste my time with like some boring ass normal trip. Like I just want like the most intense shit. And I was like, I could do 7. I could do like two doses, like 7 grams should be enough. But like, let's make sure. And I'm just gonna fucking do like 10.5. I'm just gonna do 3 doses or whatever.
This was your first time ever doing shroom?
Yeah, it was a big mistake.
What the fuck, man? Like, no, mine was increasing.
Yeah.
I went 2, 2.5, 3.5, 4, 5, and then I hit my plane of like, oh fuck no, too much at 5.
Yeah.
Everything else before that, dude, I feel like you ruined it for yourself. You cock-blocked yourself on shrooms.
Well, a little bit. Like I've gotten back into it over the past like year actually, and all of my trips since then. Like I'm planning on doing it. I think tomorrow I might be again. But like I've tripped like I think 4 times like on LSD and then mushrooms as well. And those trips have been so easy. It's been a lot of fun. Like it's a super fun thing. Like
dude,
it's nowhere near
it's
as traumatic
blast.
as It's actually so much fun. Oh god, I love mushrooms and LSD so much. It's such an amazing feeling.
Anything like 4 or less for me is there's not a high on earth that I can imagine being this intense and fun. Like, we went and saw a movie, and it was the best movie of all time. I walked my dog, and I was convinced he was a lion, but like my lion, right? And it was I kept laughing and calling him my little lion, and it was hilarious, and it was so wholesome. But then once I hit that too much, it was like not even the same drug. It like destroyed me. I was like shaking with fear for 6 fucking hours.
It's very interesting after having started with the extreme dose too, because like when I do like the smaller doses now, I can totally see like it feels like I would say like my first dose was basically the equivalent of like catapulting yourself like over a mountain. But like now when I do it, I can totally see like okay, like I'm reaching a level of high, and I see like over there is like that's like where I went before, but I'm very safe over here, and I'm not even close to like that level of bullshit. So yeah, I don't know, it feels really good. I really enjoy it.
I'm excited if I go to TwitchCon Amsterdam because they have truffles, which is like their baby cousin or whatever. They're illegal, and I just want to take a fuck ton of truffles and walk around that city because it's like a gorgeous city. And like the visual enhancements of mushrooms is my favorite part. Yeah. Everything is so goddamn gorgeous. Everything's a fucking painting. It's all the Mona Lisa.
I remember when I was coming down off my
appealing.
When I was coming down off my LST trip, I wanted to walk around outside a bit and see what it was like. And I remember I was in a restroom when I went to get hot chocolate because I love fucking hot chocolate. Did I say restroom? I meant restaurant. Sorry. I was at like I think it was an 85 degrees bakery. And I remember when I was in the bakery, I'm really bad at like faking like sober when I'm high. I can't do it. And I remember when I was standing in the back, and after I ordered my hot chocolate from the lady, I think I was standing near Melina. I was like, oh my god, like everybody in this restaurant is so fucking beautiful. Holy shit. And like everybody looked at me, and I was like, oh god.
Yeah, I was, and it was uncontrollable. Like when I'm drunk or high, I can stomach it and hide it very well. But shrooms, it was impossible. Like I was losing my mind, having a blast, except for the last one. But no matter how hard I tried to look normal or like act normal, it couldn't do it.
Yeah,
it was just like it takes full fucking control.
especially mushrooms. Yeah, LSD is a little bit.
I've
more
never done
clear.
LSD. It scares me.
Oh no, don't.
I have a lot of friends that like because I'm a control freak mentally. That's why I can't even get high because the paranoia from smoking weed feels like I'm losing control of my ration.
Yeah.
So I can't do it.
The problem is that most druggies are fucking morons. A lot of druggies have this opinion where it's like, dude, if it's not natural, man, it's fucking bad, dude. You don't want to do lethargic acid, dude. Like, just do mushrooms that come from the ground. So in my personal experience, and in most people that I hear that do this stuff, LSD is a much cleaner, controllable high than mushrooms. Like, when you're on LSD, you have so much control over your thoughts that it's like the trip is almost kind of what you want it to be. That seemed to be the case for me, and that seems to be the way I hear people explain it. On mushrooms, you're much more along for the ride. Whereas on LSD, you seem to be way more in control. So if like being in control is important to you, or having that like good like mental like control is important to you, I think LSD is way better than mushrooms. Holy shit.
That's crazy. I've always heard the polar opposite. Like, and it's been confirmed from one side it's always been told that mushrooms is very body and like your like joy and shit mentally, but it's still like mostly visual, audio, like I don't know, like enhancements versus acid is super, super mental, and that's what's scary.
I don't know. They both feel similar-ish to me. LSD just like takes a long time, and the LSD, the come up for LSD is super nice. It's very gentle, very easy, and then the come down is like very slow, and I feel like pretty in control most of the time. I think mushrooms is like much more aggressive. Like, yeah, I really want to. The explanations of DMT when people describe it sounds very similar to my mushroom trip. Yeah. So I don't know. It sounds really interesting to me. Fuck, I really want to.
Do you think that like LSD or mushrooms is better for someone who's never been into psychedelics so far?
Everybody is going to have like different recommendations for this. For me personally, I would say starting with small dosages of mushrooms is better. LSD is super clean and it gives you a lot of control, but mentally it is very exhausting. Man, at the end of like, well, maybe it's different for people. For me, LSD is literally like a 12-hour trip. And god damn, your head is, I am so fucking worn out, dude. Because at the end, like 11 hours in, you're still feeling it a little bit. Like, god damn, it's like a long experience. Whereas,
LSD is a whole day worth.
Yeah,
you need like a come down day because you're like, fuck the next one from what I've heard.
Yeah. For me, maybe this doesn't seem right for everybody. For me, like 2 grams of mushrooms, that's like a 3 to 4 hour experience for me. And it's good. It feels like very fulfilling, and it's a good length of time. Yeah. And even the 10 grams I did, that was about a 6 to 8 hour experience for me.
Oh my gosh, so if you did way too much LSD, you would be gone for like a day.
I don't know if
you not heard the horror stories of people accidentally taking like 3,000 hits of acid?
Holy
well, like
shit.
I've heard horror stories about like shrooms as well, and like they both sound absolutely terrible. But like at least with shrooms, it's like a few hours and then you're done.
Even
with
my
LSD,
worst
like
trip,
12.
but that's one of those things you live through it, and afterwards, even my 5 gram that was awful to me, like, and during it, the whole time it was misery, and but afterwards it like realigned my priorities, and that's when I like started fixing shit because the negative parts of the trip that were super scary was like shocking me into what I need to be doing. Mm-hmm. It was like all the horrible shit I didn't want to confront. So even if it was shit during, after the fact, it has like positive effects.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to try psychedelics. I have to find a trip sitter though.
Well, hey, if you go to Amsterdam.
Don't do it alone. It's so fucking bad alone.
Yeah.
I won't do it alone, but I don't have IRL friends. I've been so interested in trying it in like a safe, controlled environment with someone that I trust, but like I don't have people IRL that would trip sit for me.
Yeah, and I think that there's some people, they do it just to fuck with people, and I think they're the worst people on earth.
What?
They like get their friends to do acid and shrooms, and they'll just fuck with them because they think it's funny. It's like, dude, do you realize how fucked up you are for doing that?
Yeah.
Wait, didn't you say you laughed when fucking Clint did that shit to me on that roof?
No, I laughed at it. I wasn't there. I didn't hear that actually happening. And I thought you were just high on weed.
Yeah, so this is like very strange, but after I did fuck, okay, hold on. I'm doing like ultra cliff notes here. One of the worst parts of my trip was that okay, so you've done these. Have you ever looped before?
You feel like you're finally coming out and then you go right back to the beginning?
More than that, it's a more specific thing. It's where like you get stuck like in a thought loop where you think something and you're like, wait a second, have I thought this before? Oh shit, I have. Wait, am I stuck in a loop? And then right when you realize it, you're back at the beginning and you're like, fuck, have I been here before? And have you had that
For me, it was more the sense of like, I hate that I'm still thinking about this. Like, why can't I think about anything else?
Oh,
like,
okay.
I didn't like lose it, but yeah.
Yeah, so for me, like, it was these very specific like thought loops where I would get stuck in this loop, and then I would get worried because like when you're on that level of like when you've taken like that many psychedelics, things like time become like pretty arbitrary. Like, what does that even mean? You know? Like, I remember thinking in the middle of the trip, it's like, okay, like I know this trip can only last 6 hours, but like, does that matter if there's an infinite amount of time that I can spend in this one moment? And that's what I felt like a lot. That like things like how you perceive time, that's just like a part of your senses that you can break with enough mushrooms, and then you can get stuck somewhere forever and you're fucked. And I had that feeling a lot.
I've never had time dilation.
Oh yeah, I had that feeling a lot. I had this really disgusting feeling when I was sitting on the couch that we were watching this like TV, like this interdimensional TV in another dimension. But both the TV was showing another dimension and we were in another dimension. And that dimension that we were in was like the entirety of existence. And the person next to me was like turning to me like, hey, like, good job. Like, this is reality. Like, you made it. Was it everything you thought it would be? Like that feeling that I was like in a new place and this was like the reality that I'd uncovered for the rest of my life. Yeah, pretty shitty stuff like that. And that this was like the new forever for me, and I'd finally broken through that I was an idiot because like the illusion of reality that I had before was actually so much better than this, and I regretted taking this many mushrooms because seeing reality for what it was just horrible. It's just 4 people in a room watching a TV forever. It was like a really bad feeling. 3 or 4 months later, I took 20 is it 20 milligrams of edibles? Milligrams, right? Is how they measure it? Or is it grams?
Yeah, I think
grams.
So.
Maybe it might be gram. No, it must be milligrams.
There's no way that you took 20.
Yeah, it's milligrams.
It must be milligrams. Yeah, it was like a. I think like I bit like a little bit more off of chocolate. It was 20 or 30 milligrams max of an edible. So not like a crazy killer amount, like a decent amount for me, because I don't smoke weed a lot. But like maybe like 20 or 30 milligrams of like a little chocolate thing. I ate that with a friend. It takes about an hour and a half for these things to kick in for me, and as soon as it kicked in, as soon as I felt myself starting to get high, I had a massive panic attack and I like re-ego deathed, and I curled over into a ball on the bed, and I felt like I was still stuck in my mushroom trip from 3 months earlier. It felt like I was still there and I actually hadn't broken out and I was going to be there forever. And now any single time I smoke weed, it is a psychedelic experience for me. Like if I smoke weed, it feels like I'm doing LSD or mushrooms. Like, yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
So in one way, it's really cool because now when I smoke weed, it's like it's a fucking crazy experience. Like I never understood why people liked weed before. Because if I smoke, it's basically like getting drunk, but like maybe feeling like a little bit more goofy or whatever, and not like as out of control. But now when I smoke, I feel like I'm doing like a light dose of LSD. Like I'm very clearly like stepping into like another world. Like every time I get high, which is kind of cool, but also really scary.
When you said you were like in this other dimension where it's you and what is it, like 3 random people you're sitting there watching, or is this you just seeing what your body was actually doing?
No,
I never had like super real hallucinations. It was just like lines moving and I voices, but never nothing manifested itself.
Oh yeah, I had full on visuals. When I was when I started, so this is just a guess. I don't know if it works this way, but I took the first dose, and then I took the 2 more doses about 30 to 40 minutes after I took the first one. When the first mushroom started to kick in, now I can identify it. I started to have like a cool mushroom experience. Like I saw lights kind of like blossoming on the back wall behind the TV, and it was like a really cool like what you would expect to have like from a light LSD trip or whatever. It was really fun and really cool.
Talking about like trails. Like when the light's trailing and making all these weird patterns. And
no, not that. Just like, I don't know how to explain it. When I'm on like these types of drugs, like lights are very cool. They get brighter and dimmer and brighter and dimmer. And sometimes like different colored lights just get brighter and dimmer. I don't know how to explain that, but that happens to me when I'm on LSD a lot.
Yeah.
And that started to happen, and then it's hard to tell exactly how long, but like after about 30 minutes of that, all of a sudden like my vision went totally fucking dark, and I like laid back on the couch and died, and I was like going through like these tunnels of like fractal light, and that was it. That was like my entire existence was like just like traveling through like tunnels of like fractal pattern light, and that was it.
I had something super similar to that. It's because I finally was like closed my eyes, but when I closed my eyes, I was like, wait, did I die? And then I'm seeing all this crazy fucking shit, and I feel like I'm being transported to whatever place I'm going to spend the rest of eternity, but I never got there. I finally talked myself into opening.
Sure. Yeah, the feeling that I had is very hard to explain. The feeling that I had was that I existed as an entity that wasn't disappointed, but that was a little bit sad, that I know that somebody existed at one point in time called Stephen Bonnell that would have been upset that he killed himself doing too many shrooms. That was the experience that I had while like drifting through like that like phase of existence. I think that lasted for like 2 hours. That was like the whole like first half of my trip, was just that experience of being some other non-entity or whatever that like vaguely recalled that who I was, that I used to exist at, and then feeling kind of disappointed in myself that in an attempt to prove people that mushrooms are no big deal, I actually killed myself and destroyed my mind doing too many of them.
Holy shit.
Shit. Were the patterns that you saw, the visuals, similar to those that you see like online?
Somebody actually linked a video once that was exactly what I saw. Does anybody remember this? Actually, if you go to my shroom video, I think I found that. But if somebody remembers, there's like we had like an actual video that was 100% representative of what I saw.
Have you, when you've been on psychedelics, have you ever like remembered memories that never actually happened?
I don't think so, but I kind of doubted my own memories. Oh, like this actually. Hold on, here I found it. There you go. This is like 100% like what it was like. Was like this is like my whole existence was like the only difference was that the tunnel was going like up and down, like it was more than just a straight tunnel. But just the idea of like being in something like this,
oh wow,
with all those
that's
like
really intense.
Yeah, 100% like this is like what like my whole existence was. It was like insane. Yeah.
That's really intense. It's beautiful though.
Yeah.
Were you afraid?
No, I didn't have like those feelings anymore. Because I felt like whatever I was wasn't me anymore, but I had like a recollection that somebody that was me used to exist, but it was so long ago, and whoever they were was like so long dead. Like that was so long ago. It was an eternity ago that person that would have been scared like existed. It's really hard to explain it, but yeah, that lasted for like 2 or 3 hours. One big part of my shroom trip, there was a good 30 minutes where I thought I was Wreckful. I legitimately thought that like I was like a part of Wreckful's mind that had traveled like with Wreckful to that part of reality, to that like time in reality, and he had taken shrooms to try to like get me out, to try to make me understand that like, okay, hey, you are just Wreckful, like dude, that's what you are, like you need to accept it and like stop existing. And that was like a really difficult part of the trip to get through. But did you get sick after? I never got sick eating mushrooms for some reason. I don't get sick or nauseous ever.
I enjoy the taste of mushrooms. Everyone else hates them. But that 5-gram trip, I threw up, and it was like the best, because I thought it was going to be the end. But doing it actually sent me into a fucking rabbit hole from hell.
Damn.
It was fucking misery, dude. Did you just straight up munch yours down?
Yep.
You fucking champion? Holy shit.
I mean, they were dried mushrooms. They tasted like veggie chips. I don't think they were nasty or anything.
We always we crush them up and then put them in orange juice, because apparently, I don't know if this is true, but there's the acid, citric acid, increases the speed at which they react, so like you get high faster. Is that true, Chad?
Everything for me takes like an hour and a half to kick in. The last time me and Melina did mushrooms was kind of fucked. That like she did them, they were very quick for her. Like I think she was like very high in like 20 minutes, and I was just like sitting there watching her be high, and it took like a full extra hour before like I finally got anything. I was like, okay, well, here I come.
What was it like doing it with someone like that must be fucking nuts. Doing it with someone like you're romantic with. I'm like a co-experience.
I'm a super physical person, so like anytime I do any type of drug, I like to have somebody to cuddle with. That's like, it feels very good to me. So I don't know, I enjoy that. I like the physical closeness of like getting high with somebody. I like that. The thing that really scares me is that okay, so keep in mind that as I talk about all this, I have a very limited experience with psychedelics. I think I've tripped like 5 times in my whole life. I'm not like some like psychonaut like trip expert or whatever. One thing that scares me is a lot. I did 2 grams of mushrooms with Sushia, and I didn't actually feel anything. That like really scares me. Yeah,
2 grams was nothing, because we did 4 grams the night before, and then the next day we're like, we have a little bit over, let's do a little bit. We had like 2.5, and I couldn't even think of anything that actually happened.
Oh,
like, it didn't.
Well, if you do LSD or mushrooms, you're supposed to wait about 2 weeks, like 13 to 15 days or some shit, for the things to subside, because you do build a tolerance to it.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, I guess that's probably what it was then, because I had done them so recently, like 12 hours ago.
Yeah. Then you have to take a lot more to get the same effect.
Yeah. So you took 2 and didn't have anything after not doing them for a long time?
Yeah, I hadn't done it for months. Yeah. I'm supposed to. I think I might tomorrow morning. I think I put my stream to start later. I wanted to do it tomorrow, but we'll see. I'm gonna do 3.5 if I do.
I think that's like the perfect amount.
I really think it'd be interesting to do it in stream, but like
I did it on my 4 gram dose. I streamed it, and it kind of sucked.
Yeah, because like those experiences are so intimate. They're not like they're personal. Like you can't see what I see, what's going on in my head. Like I can't explain to you like how crazy my existence is right now.
I just thought I was a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
like I was being uncharacteristic of myself, and they were weird champing me, and I was like, oh fuck, okay, I'm gonna.
Yeah, people keep saying like, "Oh, you'd be so entertaining, Dusty." I don't think it is that entertaining. You're just really fucking high. And, like, if you could see things like through my eyes, it would be entertaining. But I don't think. I don't know. I don't know. I just pay attention a little bit more. I think that he's like hardcore shelled himself out for Bernie Sanders, like past any point of having any amount of integrity when it comes to dealing with stuff.